Hi, we're Jonathan and Jennifer. Welcome to Well-Traveled Life.
And we're at the beginning of our series on Great Britain. We'll be heading to England, Scotland, and Wales.
And we had a fabulous time in all of those locations.
Since this is the first couple of days of this trip,
Yeah.
what stood out to you about Aylesbury and Oxford?
Yeah, I would say the people. And when you go to Great Britain and you're in either Great Britain or England, I think you really have a different experience in London. It's a very metropolitan city and so much to do and very crowded, loud, noisy, energetic, exciting. But in the countryside, whether you're in England or Scotland or Wales, the people, the beauty, the history, the just gorgeous towns and gorgeous countryside.
And we've got a lot of it. We had 2 months of travel. We did it all by car, and so we have lots to share. So watch us every Sunday at 5 p.m.
Yeah, for me, seeing the difference really between the countryside and the big cities like London, and driving through it with the car we rented, loved that experience, honestly did.
You might not have known that if you've been traveling with us every day. We'll be doing a couple of driving videos.
Yeah, no, it was exciting.
I think what stood out to me about Aylesbury and Oxford was the thatched roof inn that we stayed in.
Right.
And it was our first fish and chips and beer.
Yeah, I mean, imagine your first night and you end up staying in a pub that was probably 500 or 600 years old, and thatched roof, and having your first dinner, local beer.
First of many great local beers.
Yeah. That was pretty amazing. That was a great start to our trip.
We try to get a video out every Sunday at 5 p.m., but this trip was so amazing. We did so much, saw so much, and we have so much informational content that we want to share with you about driving an electric car and charging in really remote parts of the island. So stick with us every Sunday, but maybe more.
A beer in every town.
After a quick flight from Copenhagen to Heathrow, we picked up our rental car from the owner. We used Turo, and we were able to get a Tesla S electric vehicle, which was going to save us tremendously on fuel costs. It also is a way of supporting a local economy by renting directly from an individual. We drove from Heathrow north about 45 minutes to Aylesbury, which is just outside of Oxford. We spent this first night at the Clifton Arms, which is a small inn with comfortable rooms, a lively bar, an exceptionally good restaurant, and a fun outdoor area. We had the good fortune of getting to meet with Robert, one of the owners, and talk a little bit about the history of this charming thatched roof inn. Robert, thank you so much. We had a beautiful night here, and it was our first night in the UK, and we had picked a place that we thought would give us a really authentic British experience. And you absolutely delivered.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit of the history of this?
This was built in the 1500s.
Yeah.
And it's been a coach inn for a considerable number of years, because we're about 10 miles from Oxford and on the way to London or anywhere from that direction. It's been a pub or a coach house all its life.
Okay.
It was one of the first buildings in the village, and there's about 5 of these similar buildings with the thatched roofs that are based in the village, and they probably cover about 4 miles. So there's hardly anybody here. There's a little hamlet, and over the years the village has grown up, and it's now about 500 houses in the village. It was extended in the 70s to put on a restaurant at the other side, and we're in the process at the moment of building an outside barn to have things like weddings. We currently use the marquee in the back for weddings, but obviously that's we've got something a bit more permanent, and they use the look and feel of the pub for that end.
We thought the grounds were just spectacular. It is surrounded by homes on one side and large fields on the other. I can't imagine a more quintessentially English venue for a lovely wedding. The property is laid out with a thatched roof holding the pub and the reception area. The bricked area at the back is the restaurant, and then in the far upper part of this video, you can see the inn, which is the B&B part. And off to the side behind the restaurant lies the venue for weddings. So how long have you been the proprietors here?
We've owned it since 2018, so we've had an interesting time. First year was quite good because we were all excited and it was new.
Yeah.
We weren't in the pub business. We live in the village, and so it was a community style purchase. And after a year, obviously we went into COVID, had 2 years of COVID, and then last year was really quite a difficult year because we couldn't get anyone in employment, because they'd either moved out of the industry or Brexit or whatever. But we've got a really solid team now and have started from probably, I'd say, just the beginning of this year. And so the solid team now has started to really move us forward again.
That's great. That's great. You know, I will tell you, we have heard that same story all over the world.
Yes.
It's just been
Crazy.
On every continent we've been on,
Yeah.
in every country we've been on. It's been personnel.
Yeah, so there's three of us that own it, my wife, myself, and Mike, who's the handyman at the back at the moment. And we employ probably about 25 local people. It's a combination of a pub, where we call that the Anglo-Saxon bar, because that's where all the local builders come in at about 4:30 in the afternoon. About 7 o'clock the volume starts to go up as the drink volume, but that's separate from the dining room.
We had both breakfast and lunch in the dining room. Breakfast came with the bed and breakfast, and then we opted to have dinner there the evening we arrived. It was just spectacular, but really cozy and comfortable, and a great menu. The breakfast menu was really comprehensive. I got the smashed avocado on toast, which was terrific. Served on English china.
I had the traditional English breakfast this morning and it was fabulous.
Yeah, you don't want to do that every day.
No. We had our dinner in the specially designated room just for dining. Again, a really terrific menu, super food. We had fish and chips last night. Really good.
Yeah.
And then it's separate from the bed and breakfast, so we try to keep them at the back of the bar.
Bed and breakfast is actually in a separate building, so there's a parking lot that divides it from the restaurant and the pub. We found it to be quiet, comfortable, and again, charming. Would you look at this room? The beams on the ceiling. Little small TV, little armoire. And a nice little kitchenette area. We don't drink coffee, but I gotta tell you how much we loved having water and tea with biscuits. That was just a real treat. Check out the lock on the bathroom door. It's like the old-fashioned latch. It's so great to see these inns redone with modern conveniences like ensuite bathrooms with modern appliances in the still charming old buildings. What do you think of the Clifton IPA?
That's great.
I don't think it tastes like an IPA.
Just a little bit at the end. It's quite good. I would give it a 7.
Okay, Clifton IPA is actually brewed by Rebellion, which is a brewer which is about 20 miles away.
Okay.
So it's a local beer.
Yeah.
And what we did is we've agreed with them to do it specially for us, and we put the badge on it for the Clifton Arms. The Rebellion is probably our #1 selling beers across the range, and it's a local beer.
We loved it. We loved it.
I had it last night. I loved it.
Yeah.
Proper English beer.
Yeah, exactly. And
It's warm, It's proper. The weather's not exactly brilliant. It does affect it.
Exactly. Well, we loved it, but we loved that it was
No, it's an independent brewery, which is about 20 miles away.
perfect.
Last night when we were coming in for dinner, 8 o'clock maybe, right before it got dark, there was a local walking group from the other village that came in.
Yes.
And we heard that they like your pub and they come here a lot.
Yes. The next village is probably about a mile and a half over the fields,
Okay.
amongst the cows.
Yeah.
And it's a similar style village to here, perhaps a bit bigger. Has got a pub, has got a thatched pub, but it's had change of ownership in the last 6-9 months.
Okay.
It's probably now got a reasonably good ownership, and it'll start to go forward again.
Okay.
So they tend to move between the two walking dogs. We're dog friendly. You go in the back bar, you can bring your dog in, even if it's in a real state. Yeah, it's fantastic.
That is great.
In the summer, if you've been here in June when the sun was shining, the gardens here attract a lot of people. So from a destination point in the summer, we families with children really come here. In the winter, where we're really out in the middle of nowhere, what we're doing is then focusing a bit more on the food. You get a number of the locals come in here, but not all of them. There's quite and we probably attract people from about 20 miles radius.
Even though we had intermittent rain, we took some walks, we explored the property, and had a great time going out to the back fields, even though we found out those don't belong to the inn. But the neighbor came to visit us and asked what we were doing in her yard and just warned us about the cows that might be loose at any point in time. This is the cows' favorite corner that they come rushing to as soon as the gates are opened. The gardens really were spectacular, and we found out why. We were fortunate to meet one of the most interesting gardeners ever. He's known worldwide for his shop where the most elite exotic cars from around the globe would be shipped to him for service. But today we talked about weather weeds, plants, and produce. How are they drying out when you're getting weather like? I'm just wondering.
Well, basically, they're dying back.
Okay.
So they're probably taking water from the roots and the rain's on it.
Yeah.
But it's not supposed to be like that.
Yeah.
It's August. The leaves on. This is the first batch. The second batch is producing more beans than this one.
Really? This year in the month of July, there was rain almost every day in England. He noted that weather patterns just seemed inconsistent, and it was hard to count on what things were going to be like from one season to the next. But much love and knowledge has gone into making this a garden for all of the senses.
Really? Well, it's just towards the end of the crop at the moment. So the kitchen are inundated, but they don't know what to do with it. So I'll let it grow, see what happens. We're
going to have some
big.
giants.
Well, they've been turning them into soup and freezing it. Goodness knows. But they're flowering now, but not growing fruit. So there's lots of flowers coming.
Yeah. Do they cook with the flowers at all?
Yeah, they do. They take the small ones. So when there was a lot of little ones, they leave the flower on.
Little tender ones.
Yeah. Well, that was a piece of wasteland along here. It was just a jungle.
So you did all the clearing and then the replanting?
Yeah. It's just covered with hardcore and rocks and all sorts. So I cleared that off and dug it over. I thought, I'll try these. Look, it's been amazing success.
They love it. They love it. Produce from the kitchen garden is used in the kitchen for the restaurant. What a treat.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Well, Robert, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Hope to see you again.
Yeah. Yeah. Contact information for the Clifton Arms in the description. We hope that you'll check it out. We know we'll be back. As we left Aylesbury, we headed into Oxford. I had gone to school there when I was in college, and we wanted to go back and see what the city is like now. It's crowded. It was a little more overwhelming than I remember, but certainly a lot that you still recognize. The museums are there, the university is there, and my house was there. So we took a little detour down memory lane and headed to go see where I used to live when I lived in Oxford. I never drove while I was living in England, and I think I know why. I'm glad Jonathan was driving on this trip. But I also didn't ride a bike. I didn't trust myself and thought I wouldn't be safe on a bike. So I did a lot of walking and every once in a while took a bus, but mostly walking. It was a little bit harder to find the house when we were in a car as opposed to my regular old walk. So it took us a little bit of wandering to get there, but we found it. The house had 3 stories, and each story had 3 bedrooms, a kitchen, and a bathroom, and a phone in the hallway. I lived with a number of students from Connecticut and New York and San Diego, and there was a whole nother group that lived on the floor above us and another group that lived on the very top floor. I knew we were in the right neighborhood when we got to the little residential street with these big, beautiful, stately homes. But I have to admit that when we turned onto my street, which was Crick Road, I was amazed at how beautiful these houses were. I had forgotten just how gorgeous they were. But I have lots of memories of my year there and living on that bottom floor in a basement and loving every day of my time in a foreign country. Our house, the city, the school, and the people I met made 8 Crick Road feel like home.
Jen, we're getting ready to highlight really 2 months of travel in England, Scotland, and Wales. What do you think people are going to find most informative and entertaining about these videos?
I really liked what we said the first time, actually.
Okay. Why should people watch these videos, Jen? I rubbed my nose, it's not a bug on it.
But we hope to inform, we hope to entertain, and we hope to maybe inspire a little bit.